Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to the Spiritual Crash. Today, we have got our first ever guest coming onto the TikTok. We have got my good friend, Raf. I met him on TikTok a while back, and his journey has been absolutely incredible to follow, and it's going to go so much further. He is a very down-to-earth person, and I feel it's a good start, a good, easy way to engage and bring guests onto the podcast with someone I'm comfortable with, someone that I know I can have a laugh and a joke with, and just see how it flows. And you can hear about Raf's story. So thank you very much, Raf, for joining me.
No
Um,
worries.
we're gonna be just asking you some questions about TikTok and how you started and that kind of stuff. But before we do all that, can you introduce yourself and tell the people who you are, what you're about, and just give us a little bit about you, some fun information.
Some fun information. I'm a rather simple man, very simple man, 29 years of age. Uh, I guess I can call myself a content creator now, and we'll get into that a bit
I would
later, I
say so.
suppose. Um, I'm fairly laid back. I grew up on the sciences, gained a degree in forensic science. I've worked a fair couple of jobs here and there, nothing too special. Um, And somehow I found myself here with you via the amazing app that we all love, TikTok. There's not really a lot to me. I won't try to sell myself as this super adventurous. Okay, I suppose I was once upon a time, but we'll get into that a little later, I reckon. Um, Now I'm just very chilled out and I'm very mellowed. Currently studying cybersecurity, new sort of pathway that I've chosen to go down. I've always had an interest in it. But beyond
Hey.
that, like you were mentioning, obviously TikTok's kind of the thing at the moment, kind of going on the side, having a bit of fun with it. I've got to meet amazing people like yourself, and many other people that we won't bring up
Yeah,
just yet.
brilliant. So, you mentioned you went to uni for a forensic science course.
Yes.
You kept that quiet. I didn't know this at all about you, and that has blown my mind. Do you like regret going to uni at all, or do you think that you enjoyed those uni years and it's kind of set you on this path to where you are now?
It's a little 50-50 with that. Uni, if you go to uni, guys, go to uni. Even if you don't use the degree, it's there. It's kind of like getting a driver's license and not driving a car. At least you have the skill. You've got the fallback plan. I don't regret it. Um, if I'm not very academically, you know, oriented. I'm not, I got 2-1, only just about, but you put in the work, you get what you put in.
Yeah,
Um,
a degree's a degree.
exactly. But beyond that, experiences, it counts for a lot. I lived the uni life. I didn't stay in dorms. It was cheaper to stay at home with my family. I was traveled in. Monthly passes were just cheaper again. But if I so chose, spend the night out with friends, go over to their place, meet other friends. Again, the experiences counted for a lot, even if I didn't stay there, even if, say, I didn't get a degree, I still had everything else. I had fun, I met new people, new connections, and that's what a lot of life is about. So I would never say I regretted
Yes.
anything about uni. I'm just not academically oriented. So, I didn't
And
like
that's a
studying.
good point what you just said. It's
Mm.
about the connections that you make. And I think this follows on very well with the podcast that we're talking about today, because obviously I met you through TikTok, and we've both agreed in previous conversations that TikTok is a place for connections. So tell us a little bit about your TikTok page.
Um, my TikTok page, I won't lie, hasn't quite settled into its own yet, I feel like. There's no specific content. If you go to my TikTok page now, there's a lot of random reposts, just things that come up on my For You page. And then on my page itself, um, It's only really anything TikTok related, more so in the sense of like arranged battles. Like I'm sure many of you people have seen on there, a lot of me just kind of giving people a heads up that I will be doing this, I'll be doing that, or you know, some sort of content. There was gaming content on there for a while because gaming's always been something that I've loved. I just don't put so much time into it nowadays as I'm growing up, I find. But I did start off doing the gaming content purely because when I first got introduced to TikTok properly, mind you, I've always had the app, I never really used it. I wasn't much of a scroller. My best mate, he loves TikTok. He loves the reels. He's got loads of content, whether it's from something to do with sciences or politics to just funny meme content. Even the brain rot is there. So he used to send me links, and it got tiresome when the links were sent via alternative apps, and then I had to go through those through a browser to then log in to then watch the content. So I just downloaded TikTok. Fast forwards, a good friend of mine, um, who's taking very good care of me over the years, told me she produced content on TikTok. She's a singer. Um, Sent me an invite to TikTok, and I sit down and watch her sing. I love hearing her sing. I've heard her sing in person. Um, and it was good to see her stepping out of her shell because when I met her, she just like myself, you know, kind of timid, iffy about the whole presenting yourself to masses of people. And she has a very good following, and they've all taken very kindly to her singing abilities. Her talents are so good that she then decided to make it a regular thing. And I'd sit there and watch her, and then through her, I'd met her dad, who's a very big supporter. So through her, I had met her dad, who's a very big supporter of hers. Um, I became rather close with him. He's a good friend of mine. We catch up every so often, and he started going live himself in order to show support and sort of do something with his own platform. He's very big on mental health, which might add it is mental health month. Um, he
Very true.
loves to
Very
just
true.
sit and talk, and that was his content. He always says he's not a content creator, but I believe that is content. He's spreading awareness. He sits there. He willingly lets people join, meets new people, gets people into boxes on TikTok, and he will he will listen to people as well. He won't just talk to you. Yeah, I think he's rather wise. To be fair. He always says he's got platinum hair and wisdom highlights. Um, he is grey, but platinum blonde hair, wisdom highlights, it's a lot nicer. He's very clever like that. He also has done written, spoken word or poetry, whatever you want to call it. Um, and a lot of it is very eye-opening if you listen to the words of what he says. And so I started to connect with this quite a bit. And obviously, I care for his daughter. She's a very good friend of mine. And through that, we just kind of bonded. And he is the reason as to why I ended up on TikTok. There was a lot of, why don't you become my co-host? Why don't you go live? Get live access. Do this, push it. You can do some gaming streams. He's not big on the gaming content. So he'll pop in and say hello and then he'll disappear. But the encouragement was there. And then I started doing
Yes.
boxes as well. But my whole TikTok, like I was saying, it's not really fallen into a place of its own. It was a lot of gaming content on TikTok Live Studio. Um, but then there was also boxes when I was just sitting on my phone chatting away to people. And then I saw that people liked joining. They like to be there. They find their space. A lot of people recently have made it very clear that they're quite happy joining and sitting there and having a little escape from reality, which, I wouldn't advise dodge all your real life concerns and issues. Definitely take on those challenges and confront them and acknowledge them. However, I'm completely with the idea of, you just want that little space to come away to every now and then, whether it's you're done with work, you've had a long day at school, your studies are done, or, first thing in the morning, you just want to just mellow out before the day kicks off and it's a rush. I started to see that and I was happy
Yeah.
with that. So I started doing the whole going solo and doing the battles and having fun and stuff like that, which obviously, yes, everyone's aware as a content creator, as a supporter, it does benefit the content creator. However, it shouldn't take away from the fact that we do sit there and me especially, I want a place for people to just come and stop worrying about the small things, like every day's a new day, your head
I'm
goes to
exactly
something,
the same. I'm exactly
you
the
know?
same. That's how I'm building my community, and it's nice to hear that's your reasoning behind it. Is that
Mm,
you feel like you're drawing the right people in, you're giving people that break, and obviously you've had lots of inspiration from people you've already seen do it. So with those inspirations, do you still like see you doing your lives running it the same they run theirs, or have you added your own spin to it?
I wouldn't necessarily say yes to either of those. Like, I started off with the boxes because that's what my friend had done. He opened up the boxes and he let people in and he talked to them. And I love doing that. But then I started to see it go somewhere else. And then people will, off their own backs, their own volition, choosing to push me and be like, you know what, let's have some fun with this. We run some battles. And then there was the whole thing about TikTok leagues and stuff like that. Anyone who knows about TikTok will understand what leagues are about. And I'm sure we can get into it at some later point. But
A little
it
bit,
started to
yeah.
happen. And I'm very conscious of the fact that, yes, as much as we're all adults and we all are aware that real money gets poured into TikTok, um, they are choosing to do this. And I've been reminded many times, hey, if I'm gifting you, I'm choosing to, I know what I'm doing. I want to see you flourish. I want to see you grow. And
Yeah,
I haven't really heard that in a long time. A lot of it's just been, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I'll
yeah.
push myself. And I've struggled with it quite a bit. I still do. Some days I just want to kind of give up, and it takes a little bit of reminding from someone else, a little nudge from a friend, and that's another thing. Like, don't feel like you're in anything alone. There are other people out there, and these people have chosen to push me. And I'll sit there and I'll be like, cool, I'm in the B leagues now. I can't now just back off because, TikTok is a very inconsistent place at the best of times. You have your ups, you have your downs, and sometimes it'll be for an extended period of time, but you've got to push through. And through that, I've seen people show more and more support,
That's an
and
interesting point that you made there, is about the struggles of, like sometimes you don't want to push through, sometimes you want give up because you don't feel like you deserve it, because you've always done it yourself. You haven't had that
yeah.
support around you where other people are pushing you forward.
Mhm.
So do you think that TikTok is positive or negative for the community?
Would it be interesting to say? Neither or. It is what you make of it, much like anything else, to be honest, because everyone will say to you, TikTok is a toxic place. But then you'll also have everyone tell you, I love this. I've seen both the good and the bad, but I've been on other apps before. You see the pros and cons to Instagram, and everyone loves using Instagram. People use Snapchat. That had positives and negatives. People talk about, purples and the stigma around that on Snapchat, but then on Instagram, it's like people only let you see what they want you to see. And social media is like that. That's the nature of the beast. People will only let you see what you want to see, but behind the scenes, there's probably a lot of downs happening. But
And
people are big
that's
on spreading
very true.
positive. People are
Yeah,
big on
that's a very
spreading
good point,
positivity.
because I think it's exactly like what you said. Is how you make it. Is how you build your own community. It's that
Hmm.
aspect of, if you want it to be a positive community, you got the power to make it a positive community. You're in
Hmm.
control of what's being said, how you act, because 9 times out of 10, when you're on the TikTok, you influence the people who's coming forward. So do you think that TikTok is good for your mental health or bad for your mental health? Because you touched upon that you want a place for people to come in and escape what's going on. Do you think that it's good. I know obviously we got the contradictions, back and forth of
Yeah,
like, like you said, is the beast. But you hear all the time, even though people who are like in the positive community, creators in particular, you hear that their mental health is taking a toll. You hear that their mental health is struggling because of how consistent you said. Because obviously you mentioned about the leagues, and we'll explain the leagues very simply. Is basically like a scoring system. You have B5, no D5, and up till D1,
yeah,
and then you have C5 up to C1, B5 up to B1, and then A3 up to A1. Is there?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you have to earn certain amount of fragments each day. A fragment goes off how you score in the rankings, and you have to be in a certain percentage in the top. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't really understand the fragments
The
and stuff. I've been doing it for a
percentages,
while.
yeah, the percentages change depending on what league you're in. So the D's and the C's, you'll have like the top 10 and 20%. No, sorry, top 10%, I believe. I could be wrong, but I know where I'm sitting in the B leagues right now, you've got the top 10, 20, I believe 30, 70%, and then the bottom 99% or 90%. Um, and that will, oh, sorry, the bottom, yeah, I think bottom 90%, something roughly along the lines of that. If you ever go into,
This just shows how confusing the leagues are.
yeah,
Like trying to earn fragments and stuff.
if you ever want to
Because
see
I've
for
been on for
yourself,
just over a year.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I still haven't got a clue. But if you ever want to see for yourself, what would you suggest for them to
I'd
learn about
say,
like the fragments?
the next time you see someone battling, or even if you don't see someone battling, you go into a content creators platform, you see them live. In the top left corner, there is something about their league. It will say top whatever in whatever league. Just give that a click. Click on their name at the bottom, and then it will show you this. The thing that me, Gethin and I see is like a little red bar, and where that content creator is sitting at that time. It breaks down the percentages, shows you how many fragments they have, and it shows you how it's earned. And it's the what we call a diamond count. Um, it's not
Yeah.
really as interesting as we're
So
making out to see. It's not that complex. Once you see it, visually it makes a lot more sense.
it does make a lot more sense with the visuals, but it is also a complex thing because us as hosts, we can't do anything but be entertaining and try and not want you to support us, but to make you feel that you want to be part of something as we're growing. Us as
Mhm.
hosts, we haven't got no control if we finish number one in the league or if we feel finished right at the bottom in the top 90%. If we're aiming for the 1%, we just have to be engaging enough and actually feel like, we're doing this as a team rather than because this is something I can never get my head around in TikTok is as a host when we're doing the battles, when we're doing all this kind of stuff, the hosts don't do nothing but sit there and manage everything basically. All we do is turn the camera on. We just have to show up. And then it's down to everyone else who does everything. And back to the point about the struggles with mental health and stuff like that. This makes it harder to be consistent because sometimes when you have off days, you still have to show up for your people. Would you agree with that, Raf, or add
I
anything to
do.
that?
I was just gonna say, like, you're right. I think management isn't not necessarily quite the right word. I'd say it's more we encourage things, but at the end of the day, because obviously it is something that supports us as creators, but however, we still want to support you. We don't want you to come into our platform and feel like you don't want to be there or you don't belong there, you know? It still blows my mind, like, as a content creator, I'm still fairly new. I believe I only started around the start of July, so I've not been around long. But even still, I sit there and I do wonder what possesses someone to then gift me and push me because you are using real money, and I'm very conscious of it. I'm sure many creators are. Whether it's because you are trying to make an earning off of it, you are trying to make a living, or if you're not, but you're just very conscious of the fact that it is real money. If someone decides to randomly gift you, Um, and through that, it does play on your mind because you don't want to abuse that idea. But at the same time, when you're locked in and you are being pushed, and you feel like you can't let your supporters down because they've done so much for you. You don't want to let go of these fragments and lose the diamonds and stuff like that and fall short and feel like you're letting someone down. And on to the point of, being engaging and stuff like that. Gethin's right. We sit there and sometimes I'm sure Gethin feels the same way. We've just turned on the camera. What do I do now? Like, how do
Yeah,
I be
100%.
engaging? How do I how do I make your day full? Why do I make this worth your time? Because you're choosing to sit there. I can't then be a personality vacuum. And often I will try to push through it, but I don't want
And
to
I,
then make a waste of your day.
And I think this is why it's more of like you're managing, because you got to make sure you're managing the vibe. You'll make sure you got to manage the people who are coming in. So if there's trolls or toxicity that's coming in your chat and you're trying to be a positive chat, obviously I know you have your moderators, but again, you're the one who's selecting your moderators. You manage your moderators. And I think this is why it is a managing role. You could use the word more of a leader rather than a manager. But I do feel like it boils down to the fact that if the host loses control of his room or their room, I feel like a lot of things start to crumble. I feel like a lot more issues start to come up, and you don't create that space for yourself,
My,
which then impacts yourself, your mental health a little bit
yeah,
more.
yeah. My counter argument to that is we are nothing without our support. We, as
Yeah.
much as we can sit there and, try to manage things, there are days, and I know I've met many content creators who agree with, I can bring all the energy I want. However, if I'm not gaining a response for whatever reason, someone else is going through their own day and they're not quite feeling it. They've just come to sit there and they will just sit there. Sometimes, and I'm not saying they're wrong for this. You are valid in your feelings and how everyone's got their own lives. We don't know what's going on behind the screen. You can have supporters who show up and sometimes they'll just sit there. You're there in the background and you have nothing to feed off of because they just want to sit there. I've done that plenty of times. So sometimes it's not just a case of the host bringing a vibe and an energy, trying to entertain people. Sometimes we need to feed off of our viewership. And a lot of the time they
And
can bring it, they do bring it, and it gives you something to bounce off of, which is, I'll even tie it back to this, you and me doing what we're doing now. Like I said to you before, it's more comfortable for me to have someone there to bounce ideas off of.
yeah, so I agree with your point, but my point still stands that even though if they come in and they're not interacting, say for instance someone comes in your chat and starts causing negativity, then for instance, you have the responsibility. It's not going to be anyone else in the chat, because
Mm,
if you let it go once, for instance, so say for instance they came in, they said something that they're not meant to say, and you let it go. You let it slide. You don't tell your moderators to deal with it. You don't tell, you don't control the room.
yeah.
That's going to keep on happening. You're going to get more trolls. So this is why I totally agree with you. We are nothing without our supporters.
Hmm.
That wasn't my point. So I'm not saying that we're managers and we're getting put on a pedestal. We're better than the people who are sitting in the chat. What I'm
No,
saying
no.
is that if we don't manage our room correctly to the vibe that we want, like you said, on the days when we didn't want to turn up, if we
Yeah,
turned
yeah,
up and we had really low energy and we was being very, rude and disrespectful because we was having a bad day,
yeah.
then that's going to set the vibe for the whole chat. So, like I said, it's probably the wrong word to use manager, but it feels like a manager because you're the one who's setting the rules for what your
Yeah, I
live
see
is
what you're
about.
saying. Yeah, yeah.
So it's not the fact that we're better, it's just the fact that we're the ones who's controlling it. We don't control how people gift or anything like that, but
Hmm.
some creators they do, because some creators on the app, they're very toxic and they'll peer pressure people into thinking that they have to
Yes,
gift, or they'll
yes.
guilt trip people into,
Hmm.
and that's them being a manager in that sense because whereas I know myself and yourself,
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
more about community.
Hmm.
We've decided to be that kind of manager. So we're creating, like you said, that safe space. If they just want to come in
Hmm.
and chill, and then we're able to read the room a little bit better because I totally agree with you. And this is what a lot of creators don't actually understand is we are nothing without the room, without the supporters, without the people tapping,
Hmm.
the moderators, the people who gifts, the people you battle as well. And again, you're the manager with the people you battle. You decide whether you accept that battle or not.
Yeah.
And that can set the whole vibe for your life.
Hmm.
So, and I think this has a lot of pressure. Going back to the point about the mental health, the mental struggles, I feel because we put a lot of pressure on ourselves on making sure we're creating the right environment for people, making sure we're showing up for people on time, making sure that everyone feels welcome, and then dealing with drama outside of the TikTok within your community between people, and then people bringing that drama into the safe space. I feel this is a big thing that a lot of people don't actually understand because I get told all the time TikTok's not a real job, right? But the amount of hours you have to put in on the app, off the app, it affects you massively. It has a massive toll on you.
Hmm.
And like you were saying as well about the time frame and stuff, sometimes you can sit on the live and have all the energy and
Yeah.
don't feel like you're making progress because you could be sat on like zero people in the room and you've got all this energy and you feel like I want to be making a difference to people,
Hmm.
but you're just not getting the traffic flow. So I do think that it's definitely something that's good for the mental health because it's helped me massively when I've had bad days. It's really cheered me up, and I know you could probably agree on that one.
Yeah, 100%. Um, I will say, like, on the note of people talking about it's not a full-time job, guess what? Plenty of people out there who have made it a full-time job and they're good at it. They're good at it, and they all started somewhere. They started down here with us, and they have climbed. Yes, a lot of them are from people who, started off on TikTok early when TikTok first kicked off. Yes, they are naturally going to be up there if they've maintained their position, if they've continued to grow, if they continue to develop themselves on TikTok. They have made a full-time job out of it, believe it or not. Um, I understand how people look at it in the sense of like, I don't go get up at a certain time, go to work, work a 9 to 5, earn a salary. Yes, TikTok is temperamental. It is inconsistent on the best of days. You don't, you can't guarantee that you're going to get something on that day. However, people have made a success of it. So for anyone who's saying that it's not a real job, I'd start, I'd start looking at those people who have quite literally made a living off of it, and they are far more successful than many people who do 9 to 5s. I understand some people have a stigma around it, like you just sit there on camera. Well, go sit in their lives, see what they're about, see their content, see how people engage with them, and then tell me that it's not a real job. What, just because they're not bringing a certain skill set? I would strongly disagree with anyone who says it's not a real job. Um, there is, like Gethin said, there's a lot that
I'm
happens
with
behind the
you on that
scenes.
one.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot that happens behind the scenes. It's not just a case of showing up, being on camera. Guess what? For us to get traffic flow, it's not just about us sitting on live. We have to produce content. We do cuts, edits, we post, um, we talk to people who are in our lives off of the app because we do build connections, and sometimes that person might have a problem with something that happened, and then again, feeding back into the mental health. This is where things come in and it gets very, very, very techy. It can be a sticky situation and it does play on your mental health because you are trying to please a large group of people at some point. Even if it's just a two or three, even, it doesn't have to be a large group of people. You are still managing the feelings and thoughts of other people. What they come and see is only a brief part of who you are, but one wrong thing said, one misunderstood statement sets the tone for that one person, and then on top of that, You've got the other thing you were talking about, like the type of vibe that you bring, the content that you will want to produce. Not you can't please everyone. It's hard to do it. You want to do it, but again, it's just not a viable option. You can't please everyone, and that is something that will unfortunately be a thing in life, let alone TikTok.
That is 100% right. And I wanted to touch upon what you said. So I had a proper breakdown recently because I was helping everyone else and I was forgetting to help myself. So I had to go back to the basics and I had to make a little bit of barriers because some people, they come on the app and because they've seen you looking happy or they feel positive with you or they're feeding off your energy. And it's one of those things that when you don't protect your energy, where you look after yourself, go for walks, go to the gym, this kind of stuff, you do stuff for yourself that don't involve the TikTok. Because I got into this rhythm where I was constantly thinking of TikTok. I wasn't doing things for myself, I was doing everything for other people. And every single thought I had in my head was about TikTok. It was about how am I going to edit this video? How am I going to record this? What content am I uploading? What am I doing on my live tonight? Oh, I got to deal with so and so's problem. I got to help so and so. Got to message so and so back. I cut out my whole structure, and it's only recently, since starting the new podcast season and doing things that I want to do, doing things that I'm passionate about, that I've realized that it's all about balance. If you're going to do TikTok, it is all about balance.
Yeah, I agree. And balance is a very good word to use, especially as a content creator, not just in your own life, but also in the world of TikTok. Like I told you, I did the gaming streams, I did the boxing, I did the battles. Not many creators do that. They pick their niche and they do very well, but it's probably a better way of saying this than what I'm about to say, but I am very greedy. I like to have a little bit of everything. I don't want to be restricted to one thing. The whole reason I didn't continue with the whole forensic science thing, for example, it was something I wanted to do for the longest time. All CSI, all this stuff that I had in my head. I didn't want to be stuck behind the lab, and that's all I ever did. So I started doing personal training. I became a barista. I did extracurricular stuff. Same thing goes for TikTok. I wanted to do a little bit of everything because it's a bit of fun for everyone. You don't just get that one group of people. Yes, if you stick to that niche, those people can be tailored for you because that's how the algorithm works. TikTok pushes you out to the people that want to see a specific type of content. I wanted to touch on everything. I want to see all of it. And then
Yeah.
tying back to the mental health, yeah, again, I would sit there and where I started off doing the boxes, a lot of people got accustomed to that. They always wanted boxes, but then I wanted something else. And this is going to sound very selfish, but it is your platform. You dictate what happens, and not everyone is going to like that. However, because it's my platform and I want to do this, I want to experience other things, should not take away from the fact that guess what? Just because I'm a content creator doesn't mean you can't be. Doesn't mean you can't do the boxes if you want to go do the boxes. I might not do them all the time. Why should that stop you? Why should that make you unhappy with that host for not doing the one thing that you want?
That's a very good point. And this happened to me in my community. So I started off with boxes. I started off, I used to do Lego Live. So I used to do Lego, open the boxes for everyone. And then everyone would come up, but there would only be certain people who'd come up and it would be the same people, same time over and over and over again. So then I made the decision because I started realizing that when people was in the boxes, I was ignoring the chat. I was only talking to the people who were in the boxes. I couldn't multitask. So I made the decision for the community to stop the boxes. And those people who wanted the boxes started saying, like, you've changed and your priorities are in different places and you're not very community orientated, all this kind of stuff. Because they got so entitled to having the boxes, to coming up and talking in the boxes rather than talking in the chat. But when I stopped doing the boxes, the community grew so much more because
Mm-hmm.
everyone else felt like they was involved.
Mm-hmm.
And even though, like you said, like you can't please everyone, so I upset a few people, but then the community got stronger. And then after a certain while, they got used to the fact that hey, we can stay in the chat talking with people. We don't need to be in the boxes and stuff. So I think that's a very good point. What you said there is, if you are gonna do TikTok, do what you want to do because at the end of the day, you gotta make sure you're enjoying it still. as a host to protect your
Mhm.
mental health. If you want a bit of everything, you gotta do a bit of everything. And like a lot of people do fall into one niche, they do stick to one niche because it works for them. But me and yourself, we've got those personalities that when we turn on the day, sometimes we might be in the mood where we want other people to do the talking. Sometimes we might just want to get lost in a game or, you know. So, yeah, I really agree with that point that you made about you don't need a niche, but obviously it just helps if you want to get to the right people. But if
Yeah,
you're doing everything, the right people are gonna like you for you anyway.
exactly. And that is a thing, and I've heard it many times because I don't really believe it about myself very often. People will stick around for you, regardless of what you do. A real supporter, someone who's a friend, even if you don't take outside of TikTok, even if it's just lack of that words, a TikTok friend, that person will show up. And I've had a few of them. Don't get me wrong. I still accept the fact that everyone's got their own lives. They're not going to be there every day, but there'll be someone. The whole reason we have the option to have at least 30 mods is because you're not going to have that one mod in every day. Someone else will be
Yeah,
there. They are there consistently. They support you. If they know you're having a bad day, you'll get a little
yeah,
message off them saying, look, keep pushing. I've literally just had one message me now, and I check in on them. They check in on me. We might not talk all the time, but
and
they stay true to you as someone who enjoys your content. They even want to go do their own stuff now, which I encourage. I might leave
yeah,
them for a couple of hours every other day because they're pushing their own content, but they'll still be there, and
yeah,
like don't get me wrong, it's still a struggle for me to this day. Like you definitely will know this. I've said this before. I have a struggle with holding a room with even at least 5 people because they come and go. The content's not always right for them, and they are busy with their days. But again, as a content creator, if you want to do it right, time, effort, consistency goes a long way. And I am still new to this. I will build it. I just need to remind myself of that.
yeah.
It will play on your mind. It is okay for it to be playing on your mind because your brain will think a certain way that day. But then, yesterday, for example, I woke up, I saw one thing on TikTok, and it flipped a switch in my brain. Suddenly, I wasn't so down about it. I know I've had the thoughts the previous day. My brain plays on it. I do something for mental health, but I mean, undiagnosed, but obviously there's something there. You know it when you're struggling every so often. That is still mental health, whether it's diagnosed or not. I wouldn't label
Yeah,
it.
yeah, no. There's different levels to it. There's different
Exactly.
levels to mental health, definitely.
Exactly. But, you be with those thoughts, be with those feelings. Don't turn them away. Don't shut them down. Don't bottle up. Just let them flow. And then, like I said earlier, tomorrow's a new day. You wake up feeling different. You don't wake up feeling the same every day. You don't have 100% every day, but you don't always sit at a low every day. That next day could
Yeah,
be the change. You go in there, different mindset,
100%.
different thought process, and you ride it out. You ride it out and make it work for you. Is what we were saying at the start. It
100%.
is what you make it of.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. And what you were saying about the moderators as well is a very good point. The fact that you make friends and the moderators, you rely heavily on your moderators because again, sometimes when you're caught up in like battles or you're caught up talking, you don't always see what's going on in the chat. And if you've got good moderators, they'll be welcoming people in. They'll be hyping people up when they level up in the community. MVPs when you're doing a battle. They'll be keeping the chat in control, telling the chat to tap while you're doing your entertaining. They'll still be monitoring it. And I liked your point about what you said about encouraging your supporters to go live themselves. So I'm a big pusher for people to go and do it themselves. If they got the capabilities, go live themselves. But the point I disagree with you on is having a moderator that goes live themselves because a lot of the time when a moderator is going live themselves during the same time as you,
Mhm.
obviously, like you said, that mod's not going to be there. And if they want to be consistent with it,
Yeah,
they're not going to be in your live. So obviously, it works if they go live at different times to you. But say, for instance, you go live 7 o'clock till 12 o'clock every day. and then your moderator goes live 7 o'clock till 12 o'clock every day, I'm
Yeah.
a strong believer that's going to divide the community. Okay.
Hmm.
But if your moderator went live at like 12 till 3 and then came and modded for you in the evening, that's fine if the community is split.
Yeah.
But when it's 7 till 12, the whole community was split because there's going to be some people in your chat who's going to really like them, some people, and then they're going to feel divided because they're like, oh, I don't actually know who's live to go in and support. You know, because obviously
I
supporting isn't just sending gifts, it's taps, it's comments, it's
100%.
sharing, reposting.
I think where my mind is at the moment, and it will change. It will change, just like how my mindset changed from doing boxes to doing gaming to doing live battles.
Yeah.
My mindset is currently at the stage of people come and go. I've had plenty of people come, and then even the day ones left. A big group of them, whether it's through fallouts or they find new content. If one of your moderators leave, and or not necessarily leave, but they start content creating, and then some people follow them because they like their content. If it wasn't that moderator that they went to go view, it would have been someone else. And again, the beauty of TikTok, it gives you options such as having 30 moderators. And if needs be, yes, people will be hurt by this. Seen it many times. You can make the change of moderator. If that person's not in there so much, it's going to suck when I remove you as a moderator because you'll see the notification. However, if we're thinking about this logically, and people are going to think I'm very cut and dry and unempathetic about this, the fact remains, if you're not in there, why would I then leave you with
There's no
them?
point having you as a
Well,
mod.
exactly, exactly. So I'll give
And
it to someone who is then replaces a harsh word, but it is again fact. Someone else has
yeah,
stepped into those shoes, and they want to be there. They want to be a moderator. They want to help you. They want to push you, and they want to
and
remain in your platform.
this goes back to the point of being you being a manager, and you
Hmm.
can still be a good friend, supporter, and stuff. You know, like if someone's going live when you're going live, wish them well. Inspire them. If you're not live and you're able to pop in, just pop in a little bit. But you
Hmm.
don't have to be expected to gift them as well. This is another thing that I've
Yeah,
found a
yeah.
lot as well is a lot of people, they'll support you, they'll subscribe or they'll send gifts, and then when they start going live themselves, they want you to return the favor, so they want you to start spending big gifts, they want you to sub for sub. And I'm a strong believer, I don't sub to people unless I'm going to be spending a lot of time in their live if I enjoy what they're doing. Just because you're a moderator and you supported me, if I'm not going to be in your life,
Yeah.
it just defeats the purpose because we're both just going to be losing money, and the only person who's going to be
Hmm.
gaining is TikTok. So I'm a strong believer that I want people to do well. I want my friends to do well. I want the mods to do well. And if that means that they can't mod for me because they put more time and effort into their own live, their own content, I'm going to support them. If they post something on the FYP, I'm going to like it. I'll comment it. I'll repost it. And I've started a new series recently where I'm shouting out smaller creators. Even though that could
I
like, cause like a
see.
backlash on me, yeah, and I've done, I think it's like 4 or 5 people now. Even though that could cause backlash on me and I lose people in my community, like you said earlier, we can't control where the people go. We can't control where people want to spend their time or how they want to interact, who they want to gift.
Hmm.
Each person controls their own time, their own business. So this is one of those things that I've really put into perspective. Is if I'm having mods, I would prefer to have mods that would be in my life consistently, like you said, because if there is someone who's going to be there consistently, people in that community will be expecting that mod there.
Yes.
Whereas when you start having mods going live the same time as you, like my point, the whole community is divided in the sense that they don't know who to support, and then they feel bad then because they're missing out on something or because they're talking about something that happened in another life. And this is something that keeps happening is you just gotta focus on your community rather than the people, other people who are like in it. Does that make sense? Where it's like you got to focus on your people who are actually turning up in the room.
Yeah,
Everything external, you can't really put your focus into because you can't control that.
I'll use this as an example. You and me, guys. Gethin and I rarely spend time in each other's lives. We'll pop in, we'll say hello, we'll have a little giggle, we'll gift if we can, if we feel the need to. However, more often than not, we are focused on our communities. Gethin has a significantly larger fan base than I do. However, I'm still going to sit in my chat and talk to them. But I don't want it to take away from the fact that people who aren't in there aren't still appreciated. I've had people come and go, right? I've had people come and go, whether it's been a fallout, whether it's they've chosen different content. I still appreciate them. Without that interaction, without that experience, I would not be where I am now. I would never have met Gethin if I was still stuck in boxes, or I would never have met Gethin if certain people hadn't left and I wasn't still with them. As crappy as that sounds, because they've left, I then had to venture out. Whether it was they left for a good reason or a bad reason, however you perceive it, Gethin and I would never have co-hosted and met each other's chats. I've had plenty of people fangirl over Gethin, and I've had people from Gethin's stream come over and say hi to me. You know, like just because
Absolutely. And
certain people aren't there. And like another point is, I have mods who have stuck around for a while now, and I wouldn't be surprised if they left at some point. But those same people, I don't have super fans from them, but they're still in there. I have had super fans who are rarely in there
yeah,
who have chosen to, for some crazy reason, sub to me, and I'm grateful for it. But I don't expect them to now be
yeah.
in there all the time, you know? Like, it's a very, very tricky thing to navigate. But
You're so spot on. You're so spot on with it. And I like the way how you put it. The fact that just because we support each other, we're still friends, we're wishing each other well. We're not, there's no hatred or anything. If other people want to join each other's community, like you said, you've had people come over from your live into my live into your live,
mhm,
but they'll go where they feel they're drawn to. And I think this is a very good point where you are going to lose a lot of people on TikTok. You are going to make enemies as well. People are gonna dislike you, even if you're the nicest person on the app. People are gonna dislike you, and you just gotta stay true to yourself. And if you're true to yourself, you're gonna attract your tribe. And it's quite funny that Raf was saying like we wouldn't have met. We literally did a random battle. So on TikTok, you can like request for a random battle. And the first time I ever met Raf, he was sat on the train. He was hardly talking to me because obviously you couldn't hear a word that he was saying, and we just clicked off straight away. He used to sit on live with these green eyes that looked interesting, to say the least. Um, and it's crazy how he's developed, how he's come along, and I'm very proud of him. I've said to him many times, I'm very proud of him. I'm very proud that he's taken the advice, and he's actually moved forward with a lot. Like now, he sits on live and he don't wear the green eyes. You can actually see his nice brown eyes, And it's the
stop
small
it.
changes like that. Like he could have told me to bugger off, or this works for me, and I could have been outspoken telling him to stop. But he actually sat and he tried it for a week and he noticed difference. He noticed
Hmm.
there was a little difference. It wasn't a major difference. And then the longer he's done it, he started to notice. And there's another creator that I know he's taken a lot of inspiration from. I've taken a lot of inspiration from them as well. And that's Chloe. I know that she's helped him an awful lot. And we was having this conversation another day before. And this is what TikTok should be about: is other creators meeting new people and
Hmm.
finding people you click with, finding people that will inspire you, will help you. There's a few mentions I want to do who's inspired me. So you got DG. He's just reached A1.
Yes, he
Absolutely
has.
amazing couple. They're absolutely amazing. They've inspired me. He's such a down to earth person. She's such a lovely woman. And when they come on together, it's just nothing but laughs. I love battling him. You got Yala Habibi. He's an Australian creator. He's another one who.
Yalla
This is the reason
Habibi.
why I got a
Yes.
soundboard. Yes, and this is why I got like a soundboard and everything now. Is because I, rather than being jealous and wanting other people's communities and being toxic, I'm using it as inspiration. And Raf's inspired me as well, and this is kind of one of the reasons why I feel like it was a good fit for him to be the first kind of episode for the podcast, because even though I've got more followers, we're on about the same level where it comes to community size, because Raf is a higher league than me. So I'm only B5, I think it is.
Hmm.
But Raf's higher than me. And he's done that in a shorter time. So that's inspiring to me, because he's actually got that mindset where he wants to push. He wants to push the leagues, and he's got that community behind him. Whereas I've achieved other things when it comes to like arranged battles, for instance. Like we put up a 700k score the other day, which is
That's
absolutely, it
insanity.
blew my mind. It was a duels battle, and the overall score was something like 1.1 mil. We lost the battle. They put up 1.2 mil. You know, but to
Jesus.
think that we put up a mil score between two of us, and I did over half of it as a community, it just blows my mind. We did that. We did over half the score as a community, and that just blows my mind completely. And I think this is where we both work well together, me and Raf. It's because we got that mindsets together.
And I don't want people thinking just because, Gethin said, he's done over half the score. The reason that's happened is because if people would have chosen to support him to that extent, whether he did over half the score, under half the score, there are they guys, there are days when we sit there and we might put up a couple K, in terms of points, not raw diamond count,
Less than that
less than
sometimes.
that even. I was sitting on bus numbers this morning, double digits, and they were just taps, maybe a couple roses here and there. But those people who choose to sit there, they will push the world and beyond for you. Like they will do insane things. However, I also want to touch upon the fact that your community is not judged by what they gift you. Again, it is those people who choose to sit there every day in, day out, even if it's not every day, and they're just a regular occurrence every other day, every other week. They still come in there, they say hi, they show support. Again, not just gifting, taps, commenting, sharing, just even being
This
a
is it.
passive viewer, it counts for
This is
so
it.
much. Like when we go into arranged
And I
battles,
think
I will say, that first half hour, we build our rooms for half an hour before approximately, right? No one's gifting, they're
that's
tapping
exactly the
and
same as
sharing.
us.
Yeah, they will tap and share. And those tap shares and comments will count for so much more than those 5 minutes. Yes, we might win, yes, we might lose, but people are showing up. And it is one of the nicest things to see when I see people in there who choose to be there and they're doing all them small things that people lose sight of because gifting is TikTok's big thing, you know?
And you're very right there. And this is what I think a lot of people forget is I see it all the time. Some people they'll come live, they won't spend any time with their chat or anything, and they're going straight into battles. They don't spend. So I always spend. I like to spend an hour on my longer lives. I like to spend an hour with the chat, and then on the shorter lives, it's a minimum of half hour with the chat, getting to know where they're from, getting to know how their day was. Have they eaten? Have they drunk? Are they looking after themselves? The taps, the shares, the reposts, the small things, they add up to such huge benefits. So I always say that I want, like you said earlier about your space, I want to create a safe space for the people. And if you want a gift, that's up to you. But you don't have to gift to be part of the community. You don't even have to send your heart me to be part of the community, because that still costs one coin.
Hmm.
And I put treasure boxes up every now and then. And I think this is what it is. I like that community aspect where we have the comments going, we have the chats going, where people feel like they're involved, people feel welcomed. They're having a laugh, they're having a joke. And a lot of people, when you direct it into just, you know, the gifts, and you basing your community off the gift, I think this is where you lose what side of TikTok you're on,
Hmm.
and you put too much pressure on yourself.
Going back
So
to the whole
that brings us
moderator
on to
thing,
our point.
I just wanted
Yeah,
to say, going back to the whole
yeah.
moderator thing, there are people who are gifted expecting moderation powers. It doesn't work like that. You could come in there, drop a TikTok uni, which for the record is the biggest gift on there, costs about anywhere between 420 to 450 quid. And people will be like, but I did this for you. We haven't asked for it. If you choose to do
Yeah.
that, I want you to do it because you feel like you want to support that person, whether it's myself, whether it's someone else. You do it off your own back. Don't do it expecting anything back. Like Gethin and I do not go around lot like other creators. We don't gift to be given something back. We go in there because
No,
we want to
not
see
at
someone
all.
strive. We want to see someone achieve something that they've not achieved, even if it's just to cheer them up temporarily, you know?
So my favorite gift on the whole app to send is sending positivity because I feel
Yes.
like the positivity just makes such a little difference, and it costs 199 coins, and it is this like colorful spiral, and I send it to people that I'm grateful for. So grateful. So if I battled someone, I'll either send a cheering crab because I'm a little child and I find it funny when I'm giving people crabs, um, or I'll send them the positivity. Normally both, but I do this to the creators that I appreciate. So I'll go around. There's a small select few. If you start asking me to gift, I'm not going to gift you. You've lost that privilege. As soon as you start asking for me to come and support you, or oh, we need big smoke, and oh, can you send this? I'm not gonna I'm not gonna be there for you. I do it to
Mhm.
genuine people who have earned the respect of, because I don't expect anything back. I don't gift to people who gift to me as well. I'm not one of these who, if you gift to me, I am automatically gifting back to you.
Yeah.
And I think this is what a lot of creators don't understand, is they gift to receive.
Yeah, I'm not too keen on that whole idea. Yeah, everyone knows, like, I have a fairly large gifter bag now. Accidentally hit 30. I gifted so
Accidentally, let's go.
I've had three accidental ones since gifter badge 27. There's a new kid in our agency. He was playing a little quiet game and we were just having a bit of fun. There was a bit of yapping going on, a little bit of a trash talk, which, by the way, guys, is not malicious in the best situations, you know? We do it to play the part, is to encourage each other's teams to play, is to push each other. There's a little smack talk going on. I was like, oh, getting into it, like, come on, new kids are playing the game, cool. Let me help them out a little bit. Dropped a little gem gun, and my gift of badge went up, and my face dropped because I was kind of saving it for someone. Everyone likes a little, oh, thank you for like leveling up a gift of badge on me. It happened. It is what it is, you know.
I did That happened to me the other day. So I was saving my level 32 gifter badge for someone. I accidentally dropped a heart me on someone and I leveled
Oh
up.
no,
I
not
was
the
fuming.
heartbeat, the one coin.
Heart me. And they looked at it and they just went, thanks for the heart me.
Yeah,
Tell me, give me that confirmation. Be like, thank you for leveling up on me.
yeah. But my point is, right,
Fuming.
I have a level 30 gifted badge, and if anyone knows anything about gifted badges, a serious amount of money has gone into that over a period of time. Some people do it like that because they have the capabilities to do that. They have the funds. I have only got there over a period of 6 months, where people have done it in like less than two. My point is, that gifter badge doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? People will look at it and they'll be like, "Oh, big gifter badge." I'm not a big gifter. I've got there over a period of time. You know, I
Yeah,
will send small gifts to people. Like Gethin was saying, that sending positive 199. I do the little crown, or if it's a bloke, or it's a girl. I just find it funny. It's cute. It's like a little
yeah.
blushing cheeks with a little crown on top. Sometimes it'll
Yeah,
be the
it's the
fist bump.
99, isn't it?
My
Yeah,
biggest, my favorite one is because of the guy who encouraged me to start streaming. It's called a family heart. It's a heart with little jigsaw pieces all fitted together, different colors, different shapes and
yes.
sizes. And that resonates with me because Gethin and I, we're not, if you see us streaming together on TikTok, Gethin's got a lot of energy. I'm very much like this. I will sit there. Sometimes I talk very, very quietly and I'm like very close to my mic. My voice is very low, very laid back. There is a very big difference. However,
Yeah,
that's not to say that we don't get along exceptionally well, I'd say. We sit there, we
I
talk,
would
we're
say we get
from,
on very well.
yeah, and that's why I like those things. And I'll give things like the family hearts or the little crowd. You know, the family hearts have a significant amount of, meaning to me because of reasons like the fellow who encouraged me. Loads of groups of different people from different walks of life all coming together. Like the whole reason he and I got on so well was because when we were sitting up there and there were people coming up into boxes, we were all going through something. There was like eight of us fellas, all going through different things. We basically bonded over sadness, in poor way of putting it, but we were all going through a really rough spot, and then we were really happy, and we all came from different places. But that's extended out since then. You know, some of the people I don't speak to anymore, they don't speak to me. But then
Yeah,
I've met Gethin, I've met Chloe, I've met all these other names that Gethin's mentioned, um, and things like that fit. I like things like that. I send small things to the people that mean something. Sometimes I play for fun, yes, but again, coming back to the actual point, we do not gift to receive. We gift because we care about these people, we support them, we want to see something happen. You know, even this new kid from the agency who, you know, I don't know him from Adam, barely ever speak to him, but he was having fun and he was doing something. I want to see him strive. It's cool. And the joy it brings people just to be gifted or even
yeah.
have someone spend time with it. I like to see stuff like that. I know I struggle with holding a room and someone comes into my room and sits there. I love it. And I will try my best out again. Gethin and I don't spend a lot of time in each other's chats, and we probably don't spend a lot of time in many other creators' chats. But
No,
when we can, we'll sit there. It's not expected. I don't expect people to sit there. You know, people have their own lives, people have their own choice of creators that they want to go sit with. But we'll do what we can, you know, and I'll be the first to admit, when my agency know this, I don't really pay attention to agencies. I don't go into agency members' lives. But guess what?
not me neither.
If you're a content creator, that's what it's about. You know, a lot of content creators can't do that because we probably spend a lot
They're
of time on
focusing on
TikTok.
their own
And
growth. Yeah.
exactly. Or when we're not, I hate to say it, I'm not going to sit on TikTok for that long. I might go through, but I'm spending me time now, you know?
Yeah, and that goes back to my point, and I love how everything has just come full circle.
Hmm.
It's come back to my point what I made earlier about mental health. You need to have your balance, need to have the time for yourself. So that brings me on to the next point with you, which is what's your goals for TikTok in the next year? Because obviously we're coming up to 2026.
Funny
Where would
you
you like
say
to
that.
be this time next year?
I don't know about this time next year, but it's funny you mentioned that or bring it up because my agency manager has sent me, you know, your monthly things. They want to know how you're getting on, stuff like that. They sent me a bunch of questions. What do you want to do? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Or I don't want to spend as much time on TikTok. I do want to push diamonds. Some people call me greedy. Some people go, oh, you're all about the gifting. Hate to break to you, TikTok kind of revolves around building diamonds. It's not always about it. We do things like boxes, but the thing that TikTok has strived on is taking that 50%. You know, money is a real thing that makes TikTok go around. I want to push diamonds. I want to push following. I want to grow my community. I've always struggled with building a community, and part of the reason why I want to do it is because I used to be that kid. I came back from school and I'd want to go sit on a YouTube video or on a live stream and spend some time, and I'd meet new people and people's like-mindedness. You know, they all come there for similar reasons. I want to do stuff like that. I want to climb the leagues, just even if it's just to say, yeah, I hit the A leagues. You know, I've hit the dailies.
So,
That's one thing ticked off my box.
yes, I've hit the dailies as well, but I want to get into top
Nice.
three on the dailies. That's
Oh,
on the
top
bucket
three's
list for
crazy.
the
I just
old
want to hit top 20.
yeah top three. Only once. Only want to do it once.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
my question for you: if you was to sum up how many followers do you think you're going to have this time next year?
I believe in the post that you made today. You said 2.5K on that. I don't even know. That's really bad. 2.5K.
Yeah, you're about
This time
two
next year,
point five k. Yeah.
double it. This time next year, which I think is
Okay, five
underselling.
k.
I'll admit, I think is underselling because I've made 2.5K since July.
I reckon 10k.
By this time next year, I would be astounded. I'm not very.
10K, I reckon.
I've been told I'm good with networking. I don't really think about it, and that's probably why I'm like I don't think I am because I'm not conscious of it. But I've been told I'm
Yeah,
good with networking. However, I don't actively engage in it. I just kind of go around and say hi to people. Like I'll sit on zero viewers, and sometimes I'll be like, it's fine. People come in if they want to come in. I'm not really feeling the need to sit here
yeah,
and share my live. I'll post a story and wait for people to come in and tap my screen. I did it this morning. I don't really do morning lives. I came on, realized my live was empty, sat there for about 2 minutes. I thought, you know what? If people come in. I'm kind of just chilling just to have this new
yeah.
algorithm
So
touched up, So I'll just co-host with random people. Oh, yeah, just want to come say hi.
yeah, so you said 5K, I reckon about 10K. For myself, I reckon I'm gonna be on 50K followers this time
Nice.
next year. That's my goal. Pretty much similar to yourself, doubling it because we hit 25K the other day.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm hoping for 30K by the end of the year, this year,
Nice.
and then it's just a matter of 20K. And then, what league do you think you're going to be in?
TikTok's very up and down. I couldn't tell you. I would like to touch A leagues by some point. Currently, I'm not
Okay,
really pushing the league. I'm very happy with falling gracefully from B1. I will happily go down to
okay,
C5, and if I want to push, then I come back with a few shields that'll protect me if I ever want to like take a day off or have a slow day and I don't make safety. Um,
okay.
Having said that, this little thing I experienced the other morning when this switch was flipped in my head, it dawned upon me there are C leaguers out there who could definitely take a fight to an A leaguer. You know, they could hit dailies if they really wanted to. They could bring some smoke. So I'm not really fussed about the leagues right now. As crazy as that sounds, because I have been pushing leagues for a while.
That's the same as me. But my prediction, I would put myself in B1. If the things keep going in the direction that I think they go in now, where it takes about 3-4 weeks to actually get out of a league, and obviously with the up and downs, because all I do, I just hit not losing a fragment. So I just sit on like not
In
losing a
safety.
fragment for
Yeah.
like 2 weeks,
Hmm.
gain a fragment, 2 weeks, hold it, gain a fragment, go up. It's very rare I actually drop leagues.
Yeah.
And I've set myself a goal. I want to be earning 500K diamonds a month.
Nice.
That's what I've set myself a goal.
I
What's your
currently need
goal?
to. Oh, again, this was the other thing, the other question that was asked by our manager. How we looking in terms of what we call incentives? I hit my 500K last month. Sorry, the month before last. So October just gone, I hit over 500K, but I didn't meet the threshold for the next incentive, which is 750K. I would like to meet the 1 mil club at some point. It would be very
Yeah,
impressive.
that would be nice.
Just to say that I've done it. Um, I wouldn't look to push a mil all the time. Um,
That's what I want
mm,
on my goal is a mill score. I want a
yeah,
mill score on my own. On my own.
yeah,
Because we
exactly.
got close to it before.
Hmm. Um, yeah, I'm not too sure. Like, I'm a bit iffy with the whole. I think some people want to see me start climbing again. Again, good supporters, good moderators, coming back to all that good stuff. Some people do want to see it. Some people are happy to chill, which I'm also happy with. So I'm a bit torn, Like
Yeah,
I don't want to start pushing fragments when someone's just content with, just hanging out with
yeah.
you and
No,
they're not quite in the mindset. I want everyone to be on the same level. I want
yeah.
everyone to kind of fall into that. You know what? We're all feeling it today. Let's all go. And a good,
Brilliant.
representation of this is when we do play a game. Say, we get to the sniping stage of a battle. I don't want someone to carry the whole team. I want, people to help snipe together, take the workload off, and that means one person isn't out of pocket all on their own. If
Yeah, no, and that's how you build a good community, and that comes with time. That definitely comes with time. So that
exactly.
is Brilliant. And I think we've covered a lot over the course of this podcast. There's lots of information. Is basically lots of advice for people if they're looking to start out, the struggles that we've faced. There's lots of information in this podcast that would benefit the people. So for the last thing, I want you to tell the audience your favorite quote.
I'm a very big quote guy, I will admit. However, this isn't a well-known quote. I don't think anyone's like coined it or anything, or it's like related to anyone in particular, but tomorrow is a new day. Tomorrow is a new day. Whatever's got you down,
Tomorrow
whatever
is
you're
a new day.
struggling with, sit with those feelings, let them process. Don't shut them out, you know. Don't worry about the struggles. Getting has seen me. I've been down. When I first met him, I've struggled. I held on to the fact that I've not made a fragment. I did it just the other day. I got complacent, and when I was sitting on a fragment, I came off. Yes, I didn't want my team to push too much because I felt like they did so much for me already. However, those same people probably would have said and be like, "Why'd you come off then? We'd have pushed you." And I beat myself up about it. Before that, I just didn't have the team for it, and I wasn't blaming anyone else but myself. It put me in a rut. I hated it. And I always tell people hate is a strong word, but I hated that feeling. I hate myself for it because I just felt like I wasn't giving them what they wanted. Like this is the whole thing we were talking about, like people wanting to support you because of the energy you bring. And I think I'm not very good at hiding my feelings. Again, Gethin will know this. A lot of content creators will know this. I'm not very good at putting on a face for TikTok. Yes, we all have our personas. However, I beat myself up about it. Thing is, I sat with those feelings a day later, maybe even overnight, which is a rare thing, but maybe even a week later. Something changed. I realized, yes, my brain was sitting there telling me things suck. This is terrible. I hate it. I don't like this feeling. I'm sad. But tomorrow's a new day, and you don't know who's gonna come in through that For You
Tomorrow.
page. You don't know who's gonna come sit in your life. You don't know who's gonna be like, you know what? I want to do something for this guy today. I love being here, and all of us can achieve that. All of us can achieve that. So just remember, tomorrow is a new
Brilliant.
day.
Love that. Tomorrow is a new day. Thank you so much, Raf, for your time.
Thank
So
you.
this has been the spiritual craft. I've been joined with Raf. We've covered so much today. And if you'd like to know Raf, his socials will be tagged below. If you want to give a shout out or anything to anyone now, now's your time, Raf.
Yourself, yourself, honestly, you, the fellow who encouraged me to be here, his daughter who even got me looking at TikTok in the first place. I could go on, to be honest. There's a few names that I haven't mentioned purely because, again, I know we're bringing this to a close. I just want to make the point that there'll be people who will be like, "Oh, you brought this up, you brought this up." I don't want people knowing this. I can't mention any names, but for those of you who I haven't mentioned, regardless of whether you're still here or not, I would not be here if not for those memories, those interactions, those experiences. So thank you, Woody, but especially big thank you to you because you are currently doing for me what I've wanted to do for a long time. Much like making a platform for people to be this whole podcasting thing. I'm loving it and I am very excited for it and I'm excited for what's going to come.
Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. So, thank you everyone for watching. If you listened all the way through, we really appreciate you. Hopefully, you've taken some insight. Hopefully, you've got to understand a little bit more behind the TikTok. And yeah, we're going to have some new guests and there's going to be more episodes, more in depth. And maybe we'll see Raf again on another podcast sometime. So, thank you everyone so much. I'm proud of you. I believe in you. Let's go and smash it, baby. Goodbye. There we go. Record.